Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of 365 Days of Gaming. I appreciate you taking our time to check out this video. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Much appreciated. So today's game will be a fighting game. And this one I always look at as like the turning point in fighting games. Like prior to playing this game and this game being released, it was all about the Street Fighters and Mortal Kombat. Those are always the two fighting games that you would hear people, at least in my neighborhoods, talk about. Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. Those are the two sides. And all of a sudden, a franchise that had existed but never really had the impact came along with the PlayStation release of Tekken 3. Now, when that happened, all of a sudden, we had all of these people that never talked about, Tekken. All of a sudden, you start hearing people go, "Oh yeah, I play Tekken," And I always look at it as like two factors. One, they had this PlayStation demo disc that came with a lot of the PlayStations during that time that had Tekken 3 on there. And they gave you like 5 characters to play with. I believe it was like Jin, Guodong, Zhao Yu, I want to say Lei Wulong, and Eddie Gordo. I want to say those are the 5 people. I may be wrong. But Eddie Gordo was platinum in the hood. Let me tell you that. Like, so many people. I play Tekken. All right, who you play? I play the dude that be dancing, or I play the capoeira guy, or I play Eddie, which I was never upset at people picking Eddie Gordo. I know some of my friends were kind of on like the, if you play Eddie, you're whack type of thing, which I understand, but I always looked at it like, okay, this is light work. If they play Eddie, that means that they're not really good at this, and I'm going to have an easy time giving them the beats, which I would, because all you got to do is low kick Eddie. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about how good the actual Tekken 3 game was. And, they had the base cast, but then they also had modes like Tekken Force mode, which was like the first time I seen a fighting game make a beat 'em up type of mini game that didn't feel terrible. Because before that, we did have MK Mythology Sub-Zero, which, let's not play around, it was not that great. But Tekken Force mode, while not its own solo game, which made it also a little more bearable, was pretty decent. And you got to hear, one of me and my brother's favorite lines, which is, chicken. So whenever you got the chicken in the game, you would hear him say chicken. And for as goofy as that is, it's just something that we always thought was funny, and we would just say even now to each other. But I mean, this was also for me when I started playing more grapplers, because prior to this game, really the only grappler that I would see is Zangief, and I'm just not the big Zangief fan. I do like the character in crossover games, but like traditional Street Fighter, never really was a fan of him. But in Tekken, I always liked King, and this was the game where I started trying to learn some of his moves, a lot of the combos, and this was like the first 3D game where I started actually putting in work trying to learn combos with not just him but other characters, and just trying to be good at it the way I tried to be good in Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, those type of games. And I just remember seeing this game everywhere after like kind of seeing Tekken. Like the first time I played Tekken 2, because I never really played the first Tekken. I played Tekken 2, which was introduced to, I guess you can call him, our cousin Che, rest in peace. And he had Tekken 2 on PlayStation. He also had a bunch of other games that I played, so it was not like that was the focal point. But Tekken 3, that was everywhere. That was the one where, people who didn't really play games would have a PlayStation with Tekken. You'd be like, what? Wait a minute. So you don't like video games for real, but you do have Tekken. And they're like, yeah, I play that. And I would do the same thing every time. Who do you play? And they would say Eddie, and I would go, all right, so you don't really play Tekken, but that's fine. It's fine. There's no reason to judge. Everybody's here to have fun. But yes, where I'm from, when it came to 3D fighters, this was the 3D fighter. And it just was like Tekken kind of ascended to that place of mythology with the Street Fighter 2s and the Mortal Kombat, and it was like, all right, there's actually something else in here. There's another real player in this industry, not just from an arcade standpoint, but in a home console. And for me, that's when you kind of taken the leap, when they went from the arcades to the console. So yeah, definitely needed to shout out Tekken 3 for multiple reasons. And the game was, it's fantastic. It plays well. Even going back to play it now for this video, it was like, oh yeah, I understand why we were playing this, and I understand why this franchise is as renowned as it is. And we got Tekken 7 going today, and who knows? Allegedly, we'll be, seeing something about a potential Tekken 8. We even got a Street Fighter Cross Tekken game that was not as bad as people's. Remember, there were just things about it that were really bad, but the actual gameplay was great. So, we got this memorable cast, and then I remember after this, my favorite Tekken was released, which will be another video that we'll talk about on a later date. So, love to hear which characters were your favorite. Obviously, I'm a big King fan. I'm a Lei Wulong. Martial Law was also the other alternative in the hood for a favorite character. I played the Bruce Lee guy, and it's like, all right, yeah, So love to hear who you think, who you enjoy playing. Like I said, to me, there's no bad Tekken character. That was the other thing. There's nobody bad on the roster, but like to hear your thoughts. So look forward to that, and y'all have fun. Be safe. Peace.